Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello. Welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. We have some interesting hemp news, a number of stories over the past couple weeks. Next to me is Mr. Casper Leach, a wild and crazy guy. You can see he looks crazy, doesn't he? Over in the wings is Mr. John Cornett. John is ready to play us some groovy music in a few more minutes here. But first, as we always do, we'll bring out our infamous dancing cannabis leaves. Here they are.
I feel the force.
Okay, our first story tonight hits pretty close to home. We'll be talking a little bit more about this during the show, but my business, THCF Medical Clinics, or Empower Healthcare, has been the subject of a hostile takeover by a group of Canadian investors who claim they have a majority of the stock. They went before a judge in a very brief temporary restraining order hearing and obtained control of my business through an action that was based on false information that they had a majority of the stock, which they don't. And so we are restarting our business. We've got a new set of phone numbers. We want you to come to our business, and hopefully in the near future, we will take back over control of our existing business. But for the time being, my business has been the subject of a hostile takeover based on false information that they had a majority of stock when they don't. And I'm fighting to obtain control of my business back, and I expect to be successful. But in the interim, we'll be putting up some other phone numbers for you to contact to obtain your medical marijuana authorizations through our new clinic. So we'll be, in fact, I think maybe we have some of those numbers here now. My control room, of course, isn't quite prepared for that. But we have more hemp news as well. Maybe it'll pop up there, maybe not. Anyway, here on a national level, 65% of Americans ages 18 and older believe that government efforts to enforce marijuana laws cost more than they are worth. And 55% of respondents say that the plant's use ought to be legal, according to national polling data compiled by YouGov.com. Those living in the western regions of the United States, Hispanics and Democrats, those under 30 were the most likely to endorse legalizing marijuana, while Republicans, African Americans, and those over the age of 65 were least likely to be supportive. By contrast, a majority of respondents of all ages and political persuasions agreed that the notion that marijuana law enforcement costs more than it's worth. In a response to a separate polling question, respondents agreed by a margin of more than 2 to 1 that the government should not enforce federal anti-marijuana laws in states that have legalized its use. The majority of those polled also disputed the allegation that cannabis use is a gateway to other illicit drug use. Of those under the age of 60, only 25% believe that claim. This week, the DEA announced that they will amend their quotas for the 2017 growing season regarding the cultivation of research-grade marijuana and hemp. Legalization bills also in Pennsylvania and Rhode Island have been signed into law. In a notice published in the Federal Register, Acting DEA Administrator Chuck Rosenberg proposed amending the amount of marijuana that may be produced under federal license in 2017 to approximately 1,041 pounds. The agency alleges that this quantity will be sufficient to provide for estimated medical, scientific, research, and industrial needs in the United States. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration is also preparing to respond to an administrative petition calling for the reclassification of marijuana as a Schedule I prohibited substance. Their determination was originally expected in the first half of 2016, but is yet to be released. In Florida, next Tuesday, the state's first state-licensed medical marijuana dispensary will be open to the public. True Leave, a licensed cannabis cultivator and distributor, will provide a high CBD, low THC strain of the plant to patients who are registered with the state of Florida. However, as of today, not a single eligible patient is registered with the state to legally access the product. This is because Florida's law, initially passed in 2014, is among the strictest in the country. Under the law, patients diagnosed with cancer, seizures, and intractable muscle spasms are eligible for CBD-dominant cannabis, while those diagnosed with terminal illnesses are eligible for THC-dominant cannabis. To date, however, only 15 physicians in the state are participating in the program. A couple stories out of Illinois. 2 months ago, Illinois lawmakers voted in favor of Senate Bill 2228, legislation to decriminalize the possession of small amounts of marijuana. But Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner has yet to sign the measure into law. The bill makes possession of up to 10 grams of marijuana a civil violation punishable by a fine of $100 to $200, no arrest and no criminal record. Currently, those caught possessing that amount could face up to 6 months of jail time and fines up to $1,500 in Illinois. The bill also amends the state's zero tolerance per se traffic safety law. On a separate note, a judge has ordered health officials in Illinois to rethink their decision to leave migraine headaches off the list of qualifying conditions for medical marijuana use in the state. A Cook County judge ordered Illinois Department of Public Health Director Dr. Nareev Shah to reconsider evidence presented to members of the Medical Cannabis Advisory Board before they voted to recommend approving marijuana to treat migraines. Shah had previously denied a petition to add migraines to the list. The suit filed by an unidentified man currently using marijuana to treat migraines prompted the court's response. Attorney Robert Boschmidt said the middle-aged man had suffered from migraine headache since adolescence and found narcotic painkillers and triptans, the most common treatment for migraines, to be ineffective. Illinois law allows medical marijuana for patients who have any of about 40 specific medical conditions, including cancer, AIDS, or multiple sclerosis. A different judge just last month ordered Illinois to add post-traumatic stress disorder to the list of qualifying conditions. In Ohio, Governor John Kasich has signed legislation so that certain drug offenses are no longer punishable by mandatory loss of one's driver's license. Back about 20 years ago, the federal government forced all the states to put marijuana possession arrests under a law that would make a person lose their driver's license. Under previous law, any drug conviction carried a mandatory driver's license suspension of at least 6 months, even in cases where the possession offense did not take place in a vehicle. Ohio Senate Bill 204 makes such suspensions discretionary rather than mandatory. The law takes effect on September 13th of this year. On Wednesday, July 20th, Governor Tom Wolf signed legislation, House Bill 967, to establish a pilot study to study the growth, cultivation, and marketing of industrial hemp. The new law took effect immediately, and 28 states have now enacted similar legislation. Out in Rhode Island, Governor Gina Raimondo has signed legislation, House Bill 8232, to establish rules for commercial licensed cultivation of hemp in the state. The legislation creates the Hemp Growth Act to treat hemp as an agricultural product that may be legally produced, possessed, distributed, and commercially traded. The Rhode Island Department of Business Regulation will be responsible for establishing rules and regulations for the licensing and regulation of hemp growers and processors. In Arkansas, the Arkansas Secretary of State's office confirmed last week that the state's medical marijuana measure, Arkansans for Compassionate Care, had submitted enough signatures to qualify for the November ballot. This will not be the first time Arkansans have voted for legalization. A similar measure was brought to the ballot in 2012, but lost, winning only 48% of the vote. Advocates say this time will be different, with polls in the area showing 84% support. Arkansas adds its name to a list of 8, possibly 9 states voting on marijuana initiatives this fall. Florida and Missouri join Arkansas in voting for medical marijuana access, while Massachusetts, Nevada, Maine, Arizona, and California are all voting on adult recreational use. Michigan's measure remains in litigation after the state dubbed their signatures stale. In Montana voters will decide this November on a statewide initiative to restore and expand elements of Montana's medical cannabis program. The Montana Secretary of State's office has affirmed that initiative proponents, Montana Citizens for I-182, submitted sufficient signatures from registered voters to qualify the measure for the November ballot. The Montana Medical Marijuana Act, or I-182, amends Montana's existing law to expand the pool of patients eligible to access cannabis therapy and removes certain restrictions on recommending physicians and providers. The measure also establishes a regulatory scheme overseeing the testing and distribution of medical cannabis products. Montana voters initially approved a ballot initiative in 2004 authorizing qualified patients to possess and grow medical marijuana. In 2011, lawmakers passed legislation significantly revising the law. This spring, members of the Montana Supreme Court upheld several of those amendments, including provisions that called for additional oversight for physicians who recommend cannabis therapy to more than 25 patients annually, and permitting law enforcement to engage in warrantless inspections of the premises of marijuana providers. Hopefully, Montana voters will overturn that this November. July 15th was the first day that medical marijuana dispensaries were allowed by law in the state of Hawaii, but none of the state's 8 dispensaries were approved to open on Monday, July 18th. One obstacle is the state has not certified a lab to test the dispensary's product. According to Chris Garth, executive director of the Hawaii Dispensary Alliance, he said, quote, "On the dispensary front, they're all doing their best to open their doors with a diverse product line to serve all the many needs of the patients and all the qualifying conditions that are out there. Till those products can be tested in the clinical capacity, no dispensary will be able to open their doors no matter how perfect their product is," end quote. Janice Agupo, a spokeswoman for the Hawaii Department of Health, said that the state has not yet received any applications from interested laboratories. Spectra Analytical Lab is working on an application, but the lab needs to be certified as a meeting international standards, said Michael Covington, the lead chemist for that company. He said, quote, "It's a big deal for a lab to get certification, and that's why nobody's applied yet," end quote. Also in Hawaii, Governor David Inge has signed legislation, House Bill 2707, to expand the state's medical cannabis program. The measure permits nurse practitioners to issue recommendations for cannabis therapy. Other provisions in the law permit dispensaries to engage in the sales of medical cannabis on Sundays and explicitly allow for qualified patients to legally possess marijuana-related paraphernalia. Separate language in the bill permits the transportation of medical marijuana across the islands for the purposes of laboratory testing, but maintains existing prohibitions banning individual patients from engaging in inter-island travel with their medicine. Hawaii lawmakers initially legalized the use and possession of medicinal marijuana in the year 2000. Today, over 14,000 Hawaii patients are estimated to be using cannabis in compliance with that program. Over in Europe, Italy's Chamber of Deputies plans to debate a legislative proposal on Monday, July 25th, to legally regulate marijuana. The bill would legalize possession of up to 15 grams of marijuana for recreational use at home and up to 5 grams outside the home. It would also allow individuals to grow up to 5 plants for personal use and would authorize marijuana clubs for up to 50 members. The bill would prohibit import and export of marijuana, public use of marijuana, and driving under the influence of cannabis. Out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the enactment of statewide medical cannabis laws is associated with a decrease in the number of reported workplace absences due to sickness, according to data published online ahead of print in the journal Health Economics. An economist from the University of Wisconsin analyzed work absence data following the enactment of medical marijuana laws in 24 states, with an emphasis on sickness-related absenteeism among individuals most likely to be eligible for cannabis therapy. Those full-time employees between the age of 50 and 59 were 13% less likely to report absences due to illnesses following medical marijuana legalization. Those ages 40 to 49 were 11% less likely to do so, and those between the ages of 30 and 39 were 16% less likely to report a medical-related absence. This study, The Effect of Medical Marijuana on Sicknesses Absence, appears in Health Economics. Also out of Europe, from Maastricht, the Netherlands, cannabis exposure diminishes feelings of aggression, while alcohol exposure facilitates aggressive behavior, according to the clinical data published in the journal Psychopharmacology. Of course, we already knew that. Investigators from Maastricht University in the Netherlands and Frankfurt University in Germany evaluated subjects' self-reported response to aggressive stimuli following exposure to alcohol, cannabis, and placebo. Participants' responses were measured using a visual analog scale. The researchers reported that alcohol and cannabis intoxication resulted in disparate responses among participants. They concluded, quote, "The results in the present study support the hypothesis that acute alcohol intoxication increases feelings of aggression and that acute cannabis intoxication reduces feelings of aggression following aggression exposure," end quote. The findings consistent with that of prior studies reporting that cannabis exposure is associated with a decreased likelihood of violent behavior. This study, subjective aggression during alcohol and cannabis intoxication before and after aggression exposure, appears in this month's edition of Psychopharmacology. That is the end of our hemp news segment tonight. And Mr. John Cornett is standing by, ready to play a tune. How are you, John?
I'm good, Paul. I'm going to play an old favorite here because I think sometimes it's good to hear it, and it goes something like this. This is a song John Lennon wrote some time ago. Soon as you're born, they make you feel small, by giving you no time instead of it all. The pain is so big you feel nothing at all. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. They hurt you at home and then they hit you at school. They hate you if you're clever and they despise a fool. You're so frickin' crazy you can't follow their rules. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. They've tortured and scared you for 20 odd years. Then they expect you to pick a career. You barely function, you're so full of fear. A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. Keep you doped on religion, sex and TV. Think you're so clever and classless and free. You're still freaking peasants as far as I can see. Working class hero is something to be. Working class hero is something to be. There's room at the top, the telly is still. Long as you learn how to smile as you kill. You want to be like those folks on the hill. The working class hero is something to be. The working class hero is something to be. You want to be a hero, just follow you. You want to be a hero, just follow you.
Thank you, John. I like the little twist there. You changed that last word there. That's cool. How you doing, Casper?
Fine. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to you viewers out there. We are taking your calls tonight. If you have a question for us, you can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 288-4442. That's 288-4442. And we'll be taking your calls for, I don't know, about another 35 minutes or so. So you can call in anytime.
I have a question. Are we still going to have hemp stock?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's September 24th and 25th. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. And in fact, this Saturday, tomorrow, there is a hemp stock volunteer meeting at Holiday Park. Holiday Park is the little park that's between Lloyd Center and the Max Line. So we'll be there from noon until 3. So if you'd like to come to the Hemp Stock Festival and volunteer and help us put this event on, please come on down to Holiday Park tomorrow between noon and 3. Again, Holiday Park is right between the Max Line and Lloyd Center. It's just on the south side of Lloyd Center or the north side of the Max Line. It's that little park there. Just look for us cannabis enthusiasts. We'll be there.
Well, cool.
You're a cannabis enthusiast, aren't you?
I'm very much a cannabis enthusiast. I like to be a cannabis judge if I get an opportunity at some of these events, too.
Have you judged anything before?
I have, but only up in Canada. And
Don't say Canada. Don't say Canada.
Oh, sorry. Up north.
The Great White North.
The Great White North. Cuckoo, right?
Right.
And but it's hard to do. I mean, to do it fair, because normally at these events, even here in America, I hear from other judges, they want you to try like 10 different strains in like 3 hours.
Yeah, you know.
And one good strain should last you 5 hours.
That's
at
true.
least, just like 2 hits, you should be like lost in paradise.
You know, we don't have it anymore, but there was Oregon Normal's Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards, where they give you 28 strains and give you about 45 days to test a gram each. And they judged it on 8 different criteria, including the effect, the medicinal effect, the bouquet, the appearance. These 8 different categories would give a numerical score between 1 and 10, and whoever had the highest total numbers won.
Because sometimes you're right. When you smoke it, it might give you a nice buzz, but sometimes it smells like bad pepper.
Yeah, yeah. I like some of the ones that have peppery smell, but not bad pepper.
But you know the ones
like
I mean.
good
It's
pepper.
like it stinks to high heaven. It gets you high, but then they have.
I like the lemony ones that are like very lemony.
And with the vaporizer, you can taste the smell.
I like
love that.
the piney ones that smell like, you know, pine. I really like those. My train wreck strain smells like pine. I like.
I've been
skunk
told I'm
ones.
a
You know,
train wreck.
I like almost all. Yeah, you are. I like all of them. What can I say? That's how we got here. That's why I do this show, I guess. Cannabis Common Sense. You know, we have a little after show party after the show where we consume cannabis, and if you come down here, you might figure out how to get to there. So we do have a live audience here at Portland Community Media. A little side microphone, so you can ask a question off camera if you so desire. And so you're welcome to come down here to 2766 Northeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard most any Friday night. We'll be here next Friday night, but then we're off for a couple of weeks. We won't be here for the first 2 weeks in August, but we will be here next week and then the later weeks in August. So stay tuned.
We're able to do a show on location, aren't we?
Yes.
Well, maybe just for shits and giggles one night, we should do a show at the morgue and have a live audience.
You confuse me.
Well, you know, you invite people in. We're at the mortuary, and you know,
I see.
and have a live audience there at the morgue.
That sounds kind of gruesome.
Well,
I don't get it, but that's okay. It's okay, Casper. You did take your medications tonight. I saw you smoking the pipe, so I know you did. I know you did.
do I ever have a pipe not in my hand? Well, when on the show.
Yeah.
It's under under there though. So as soon as they yell cut, fade out.
With your soda pop.
Heck yeah.
It's hidden under there. You know, I think it's time for hemp to get a job. We want to see hemp employed. And we have a little video about that.
Cool.
We'll be back in just a moment after the hemp video.
Who is this guy?
Sorry, we don't have anything for you. Good luck.
Sorry, pal. Better luck next time.
Why can't I get a job? I don't know what to say. I've tried everywhere. No one will give me a chance.
And you say you haven't had employment since?
Not since World War II.
But that was over 60 years ago.
I made all the uniforms, canvas, rope. The government even made a film about me called Hemp for Victory.
Hemp for victory! Support the war effort by growing hemp. Paid for by the United States military.
It says here you have over 25,000 qualifications.
It's true. I can make paper, plastics, clothing, cosmetics, food, fuel, medicine.
All right, okay.
My ancestors made the paper on which the Declaration of Independence was written.
You don't say.
The fuel I can produce is clean burning, non-toxic, and would only cost 50 cents a gallon.
Really?
If they let me make paper, we would never have to cut another tree. I can make plastic that's non-toxic and biodegradable. I can make food which contains all of our nutritional needs. I can replace all non-renewable raw materials. I'm stronger and more versatile than all other plants-derived fibers, including cotton and wood. I can grow anywhere without pesticides or any harmful chemicals. I even add nutrients to the soil and can clean up toxins from the ground.
Hold on a second. I think I see the problem here. You want to tell me about your cousin?
He's harmless. I mean, he's never seriously hurt anyone. I'm not saying he's a good influence necessarily.
It's going to be a problem, Hemp.
He's not me. I don't have anything to do with him. He's my cousin, that's all.
What can I say?
I'm hardworking, efficient, clean. There's almost nothing I can't do. I could save the world!
I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. Hey, good luck to you, Hemp.
Okay. Hey, if you have a question for us tonight, you can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 503-4442. That's 503-4442. And now, for the first time on Cannabis Common Sense, we have our new clinic phone numbers. And the first number is 1-888-499-THCF.
Cool.
That's 1-888-499-THCF. THCF, or 8423. Yeah, they took it down while I was still reading it there. But call that. That's our toll-free number. If you're outside the area, if you're here in Portland, you can call us at 503-235-THCF. That's 503-235-THCF. We have doctors who are standing by, ready to help you. And we'd be happy to help you get into our new clinic and defeat the usurpers who have, through false information, gone in and obtained a temporary restraining order to take over our clinic. It's really a bizarre situation that these people would come in and claim that they have a majority of our stock when they don't. But the truth will come out. We expect to retake our clinic, but there's court processes that we have to go through. So in the interim, we have our new Portland clinic. You can call us at 503-235-THCF. And we'll be up and running and ready to help you get your medical marijuana permit if that's what you want to do. So Casper, what do you think about this brouhaha? It's been quite disconcerting, I know, for you too, as we were advertising on your Time for Hemp radio network.
I think it's strange to walk into the clinic and see people who are close to you still working there. And when I call the clinic to hear your voice,
Yeah, my voice is still on the voicemail,
answering
isn't
the
it?
voice machine as if
They
you are
they
still
don't want
there.
me to go into competition with them, but there's no non-compete agreement because I wouldn't set up a non-compete agreement with my own business. It's just
weird.
kind of crazy. It's
It's
very, very
just very
bizarre.
weird.
It's very bizarre. Some very evil people.
And
they're Canadians
Well,
too.
that's the other
So
thing. The thing
what
that
these
bothers me about-
Canadians have
that they're
done,
way up in Canada,
they've come down and they've taken all of our medical records and they've set them up outside of the control of U.S. law against HIPAA. They have, against the Health Insurance Portability and Protection Act. They've moved our medical records to Canada, where they intend to sell them. They say our medical records are worth over $25 million. The fact that we
golly.
have, and I've always protected the privacy of those. It's really, I think, a move by the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate elite, fascist sons of a bitches
Yeah.
who have come in here and stolen my business based on lies. And we will not stand for this. I'm going to take them down. And this is the first step in doing that. We'll have more media regarding this in the very near future. But we won't allow this dishonest, underhanded corporate bullshit to stand. I will never surrender. I will fight them, and I will take them down. Just like I helped take down the marijuana laws here. You know, I've worked on that for 35 years, and hopefully it won't take even 35 more days to change that. We have another little video. This is a British documentary called The Magic Weed. Now, an interesting thing about the magic weed is about 2 minutes into it, they start reciting a paper I wrote for Ed Rosenthal's book, Hemp Today, back in 1994. I wrote an article called China, Hemp, and Paper for Ed Rosenthal's book, Hemp Today. Of course, that was published in 1994, so now it'd be Hemp Yesterday. But I went to school in China and started importing hemp paper and fabric from China in the late 1980s and ran that as a business from 1988 up till 1997. And so they took my paper and some other things from that book and made this movie out of it. We're going to roll a little the start of that movie, and we'll be back in just a moment. Here it is.
The Latin name of this ancient plant and now infamous drug is Cannabis sativa. While this plant has been an integral part of mankind's history for countless years, you will not find it in the history books. It is a plant with two faces. On the one hand, it supplies us with hemp, whose legitimate uses includes clothing, canvas, and rope making. And, on the other hand, it is the source of cannabis, the illegal psychotropic drug. This is the story of Cannabis sativa, the plant with many, many uses.
We are near Le Mans, in west of France. Hemp has been grown here for hundreds of years for both domestic and industrial use. Farmers here still use the traditional method of processing hemp known as water retting. The stalks of hemp are extremely tough and resistant to rot, which is why it was traditionally used for ropes and canvas. Once harvested, hemp is left to soak in water before it is laid out into the fields to dry, so that the tough fibers may be more easily separated from each other. Even today, hemp fibers are broken down by hand, although an experienced hemp breaker can break from 100 to 200 pounds of hemp a day. This method still adds to the production cost. Cannabis sativa is one of the most ancient plants cultivated by mankind. Hemp processing was already developed in China 8,000 years before Christ was born. Hemp was first harvested for its seeds, a rich source of amino acids used for food. Then it was discovered that by breaking the stalks, they could use the fibers to make paper, as well as fishing nets and up to 5,000 hemp-related products, including, of course, textiles. The ancient Chinese called their country the land of hemp and mulberry. Mulberry leaves were used to feed silkworms from which was produced the precious silk that only the rich and powerful could afford. Everyone else wore hemp clothing. Hemp is called ma by the Chinese, literally meaning plant with two forms, male and female. Hemp was also the first crop to be grown for use in war. The Chinese had originally used bamboo to make bowstrings. Then they discovered that the hemp fiber was stronger and lasted longer. Imperial decrees ordered that certain areas of the land would be exclusively used to grow hemp. An ancient legend says that hemp paper was discovered by Cai Lun, a scribe and eunuch of the imperial court. To publicize his discovery, Cai Lun pretended to die. He ordered that hemp paper should be burnt around his coffin. Then he arranged his own apparent resurrection and attributed it to the properties of his new invention. Ever since, hemp has been an integral part of the Chinese funeral ceremony known as Wu Fu, or the 5 levels of mourning. This code lays down, among other things, that the family wear different hemp clothes corresponding to their relation with the deceased. The Chinese jealously kept the secret of papermaking for centuries. It wasn't until the 5th century that this knowledge was passed on to other countries, finally appearing in Europe in the 8th century.
The word cannabis comes from the Babylonian canna, meaning cane or stalk, bis meaning twice, with 2 forms or sexes, cannabis. Interestingly, it has the same meaning in Chinese. The word ma is a word from a completely different culture, yet it means exactly the same. Ma means the plant from which we take the fibers and which has 2 sexes. For good hemp, you have to look for rich, strong fibers, and these attributes are most marked in the male plant. The female plant, on the other hand, is a plant used in smoking, because all the psychoactive substances concentrate there. It is a plant with 2 sexes, 2 attributes. This is something completely fundamental.
Cannabis has been used medically since the year 2800 BC, when Emperor Shen Nung founded the science of Chinese medicine. Wounds sustained in battle were bandaged in cannabis leaves. Today, doctors across the whole world are asking for the right to use cannabis as a treatment for pain, especially for cancer and AIDS.
I'm a cannabis user. I've been using cannabis since I was approximately 9 years old. I've had cancer 10 times. It first occurred in my spine when I was 2 years old. I had a spinal fusion which fused my first 5 vertebrae together. I went on to have it from 2 to 10, 9 times in 8 years. It occurred once again when I was 15. We treated it with radiational therapy. Through the years, I've gone through radiational therapy, chemotherapy, and numerous forms of surgery. And I stumbled upon cannabis once after radiational therapy use. It alleviated my dizziness and nausea, just the secondhand smoke, and it also increased my appetite. And right now, I go around the world and I try to teach people about cannabis and its benefits and its usages, because I found it so beneficial in my situation.
All right, that is the British documentary, The Magic Weed. It's a pretty good documentary. You know, when I first watched that, it got to that point talking about China and the history of it as a war crop and all that. And I'm going, they're reading from my article in Ed's book. It was shocking. I mean, I was like...
Now you know how the First Lady felt.
Yeah, I guess Michelle Obama had somebody reading from her work. She must
Mrs.
I felt just like her.
Mrs. The Donald did that.
What's her Melania Trump or Melanoma Trump?
I'm still having problems learning Michelle's husband's name, so don't ask me this one. What's his?
Okay, I don't know either.
Barry?
I don't know either. Yeah,
Barry.
That's
Fire up, Barry! You haven't changed the laws yet. You got a lovely wife. We like you, Michelle. But you and anyway.
Okay. Well, again, if you have a question for us, if you're not out watching Dead and Company or whatever else is going on in town tonight, you can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. And so let's plug your radio network, Casper.
Time for hemp. Oh, a shameless plug. Thank you, Paul. Go to timeforhemp.com and check us out. We're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all cannabis all the time, which I'm told since I was a kid, I've always been all cannabis all the time. So it works out good that I'm part of the network. And we got like Judge Gray on there and me on there and Paul on there. And we got Chris Conrad doing programming on there as well. So we have a lot of great hosts in the network. We bring on great guests who talk about the need to end prohibition and reintroduce cannabis back into the community as a fantastic crop to create jobs with. So make it a point to go to timeforhemp.com. And like a good joint, our broadcasting network is always best when you share it with your friends. Thank you again, Paul, for that shameless plug. Jeepers, it rocked.
Hey, you're welcome. And, you know, I just also want to say we have a new phone number for my clinics. If you need help with medical marijuana, you can call us anywhere in the country at that number. It's 1-888-499-THCF. That's 8423. 1-888-499-8423. If you're here in the Portland area, though, you should call us locally at 503-235-8423. That's 235-THCF.
And if you have a complaint about the show, you want to call 1-800-DEA.gov.
Okay, I think they're watching anyway, right?
Oh, well, all right.
We have another little video we're going to roll here now about my favorite subject, hemp fuel. You know, the whole reason marijuana is illegal is because of hemp fuel. And this is our illustration, our hemp flame of freedom. This is what the petrochemical usurpers don't like, that we promote hemp fuel because they want us to keep using petroleum. And so here is hemp oil. Here's a wick, and we just put it in there and it lights right up. You know, you can pour this right into any diesel engine, turn the key, and then you can drive your diesel car with no conversion to the diesel engine. So that's the reason marijuana is illegal. It's all about fuel and money and power and the centralization of economic and political control.
And 40 acres of hemp equals the same amount of gas that Congress has.
Okay. We have a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. Caller, can you hear us?
No, it must be a deaf caller. So
we can't hear that caller. Oh well. You know those hand jive. You speak hand jive? I thought so.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
See, that worked.
Hello.
There you are, Paul. It's a long time no see.
Hey.
Hey, you look good in that shirt.
This is Swooper. I haven't talked to you in forever, and I'm sorry to hear that you're having problems with THCF. This is the second time something like this has happened to you, isn't it?
Yeah, we had a lady come in and try to take it, but that wasn't nearly as serious as this because they went in and lied to the court and said they had a majority of our stock. And, you know, with no preparation on our part, we didn't have any documents beforehand. They filed an ex parte motion at 1:30, and then the presiding judge assigned it to a courtroom at 2:40, and by 3 o'clock, the judge had ruled against us. And I wasn't even there in the courtroom. My lawyers had recommended I don't go because they wanted time to see what it was they were going to file. But we didn't get any time. So based upon that, they put up a $10,000 bond, and they got access to our clinics. Now, $10,000 is actually less than our average daily cash flow, you know, so it's just outrageous that they took control of our business, and now they've stolen our medical records, which is irrevocable. They've taken 270,000 Americans' records, and they've taken them to Canada, where they're trying to sell them. And we're not going to stand for it. And we're, you know, it looks like I have about a $200,000 lawyer bill to fight this.
Yeah, well, can't you should think about maybe sanctioning the attorney that filed their case, because it's obvious that he knew that they didn't have the right.
You know, I think that the lawyer here locally was lied to by these Canadian usurpers. And so they've misrepresented their, or someone was lied to along the way. There's no doubt about that. But that'll all come out because it's all well documented. They've obfuscated and hidden all the emails so far that they have. When we've asked for discovery, they're supposed to provide us their material. Instead, they just have given me my emails back. They haven't given us any emails of their, they haven't been responsive to our demand for documents. So we're going into the court to demand an order that they give us their records, and we're going to get it.
Well, it's really too bad that this has happened. You've done such good work for so many people over the years, and
Appreciate that.
It's just a shame that somebody's decided to come in and basically rob you and rob all the patients of their privacy.
Yeah, the doctors don't like it. The employees don't like it. We don't like it. And it's outrageous that I don't know how much they paid this judge off to be able to do this, but it's something I think about.
Well, I'd be careful about throwing that particular charge around.
Yeah, my attorney told me to be careful what I say.
The attorney was paid off, but you can't. I'd be careful about accusing a judge.
Yeah.
That can get you in a world of trouble, contempt charges and stuff, and you don't need that on top of the fighting that you've got going on.
We're in the midst of it, but I'm pretty upset. I'm in fact furious. And,
I don't blame you at all.
I will not stand for this. I'll never surrender. These folks are going down.
Well, you've got the grit and the determination enough to do it, Paul. I know
I'll never surrender.
So good luck and
Thank
hang
you.
in there.
I appreciate that. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Oh, hi guys. Hey, I'm one of your patients, Paul.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, should we start a class action suit? Hi, Casper.
Yeah.
We get a class
we can.
action.
Give us a call at 503-235-THCF. That's 503-235-THCF or 8423. We'll be happy to hook you up into our class action suit on behalf of our patients and our doctors.
Okay, great. I'm doing it.
Great. Thank you, sir. I'll be calling you soon.
I got no class, but can I be part of the class action suit?
Yes, you can.
Cool.
You certainly may. Okay, well, we have another little video, and we'll be back right after this little video.
What's up? It's me, your pal, Peace Bud. Today I would like to introduce to you the future of renewable energy sources for America and the planet. My friend, the cannabis plant. A great deal of propaganda has been created to slander this totally beneficial plant. But did you know that the evolution of human society has depended on this wonderful plant for centuries? Cannabis hemp has been used throughout history to make fabrics, rope, and paper. It is completely renewable, easy to propagate, and it produces high yields in almost any environment. Cannabis is the only plant that can support the energy needs of our economy. Did you know that our cars were originally intended to run on a cannabis-based fuel source called ethanol? Henry Ford's original Model T was built from plastics made out of hemp. The vehicle was to run on a hemp-based ethanol fuel, which was grown on Mr. Ford's property. He figured hemp would completely take care of his newly emerging automobile industry. But as the Industrial Revolution grew, and new chemicals and mechanical processes became possible, other industries stepped in to dictate what the new resource for the 20th century would be. The Rockefellers worked hard to establish relationships with Middle Eastern oil monarchies, smudging the dream of ethanol, combined with the DuPont's new chemical processes to create plastics from oil, paper from wood, and a new type of synthetic rope called nylon. And in 1938, by request of big oil companies such as the DuPonts and the Rockefellers, cannabis was outlawed in the United States. We now live in the outcome of the Industrial Revolution, and our machines have become reliant on oil. Now we have to reconfigure our world, or slip into darkness. Oil is an economy based on death. Its pursuit has caused nothing but wars and inequities, for the oil industry harvests the ancient remains of dead animals. While a fuel economy based on growing cannabis is one of life and creation. The situation our world is in because of oil is absurd. Join me in the new revolution of the 21st century. Legalize cannabis and create a new era of peace, prosperity, and renewable energy.
Mr. Peace Bud, there's an American flag. Notice it's not a Canadian flag, right?
I noticed that.
Right.
I noticed that.
But we are down to just about 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go here.
Cool.
So I once again want to remind our viewers that if you are looking for a doctor that can help you get your medical marijuana permit, we have a new number that you need to call. 503-235-THCF. That's 503-235-8423. Again, my clinics have been subject to a hostile takeover by people based on lies. I expect to have that overturned in the court sometime in the next month or two. But in the interim, call us now. If you're outside of Oregon, you can call us at 1-888-499-THCF. That's 8423. Again, 1-888-499-THCF or 8423. If you're here in the Portland area, though, call us locally at 503-235-THCF. That's 503-235-8423. All right. Casper, you've got your, do one more plug on your show.
Please go to timeforhemp.com. You got all kinds of groovy apps you can download. You can find us on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and you can also find all kinds of great free MP3s to download and share with your friends and our archives on the timeforhemp.com website. We're growing marijuana live on the site, which is kind of groovy. And this is my tribute to, what's his face, Dr. Bloomtrouser, who's running his...
Earl Blumenauer.
Yeah, that guy. He's one of my heroes.
Esteemed congressional representative.
Anyway, so check out timeforhemp.com. You got free cartoons you can download, editorials, all kinds of entertainment, and every bit of it is focused on the need to end prohibition all around the world. Timeforhemp.com. Jeepers Paul, again, thank you for the shameless plug.
Hey, you're welcome. We are just about out of time. Mr. John Cornette is standing by, ready to play another groovy tune to take us out. But if you want to get involved in our movement, you can call that number too, 503-235-4606. It's 503-235-4606. Right? And we have our hemp stock volunteer meeting at Holiday Park. That's going to be between noon and 3 o'clock. Holiday Park is just north of the Max train line and just south of the Lloyd Center. It's that little tiny park right next to the Lloyd Center. So we'll be there at Holiday Park tomorrow, Saturday, between noon and 3 o'clock. So if you want to get involved and help us put on the Hemp Stock Festival this year on September 24th and 25th, be down at Holiday Park tomorrow. And it's a potluck, so bring a food dish to share, and there'll be some other ones there to share.
And I think there's going to be a lottery, right, where you get a free pound of pot if you got the right number or something. Is that right?
I don't think that's happening, but
No?
you know, you never know. You never know. We'll see. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching. We'll tune in next week. Thank John Cornette. Thank you, and help us restore hemp.